Alright, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world professional wrestling. We talk about all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage, curtain calls, rumor, drama, and updates. We talk about, inactive statuses, injuries. We talk about contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings. We talk about promotions like WWE to AEW, to the GCW, to the New Japan Professional Wrestling, to Stardom, to the NWA. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show, 1,010%. So make sure you guys, go ahead and Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show so you guys can get notifications whenever we decide to go live. So you guys can, be part of an awesome wrestling podcast and definitely send your guys' messages and stuff like that. Alright, just kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick. We had our WWE SmackDown review. We had our WWE Monday Night Raw sneak peek. And we also talked about WWE NXT Deadline. And then we recently talked about NXT call-ups. During this whole new transfer portal, I still can't even say it without kind of smiling. Because, reminds me of college football. Which is cool. I get it. But I don't know. I don't know. But then again, I'm not a huge college football kind of guy. So, yeah. All right, guys. We got Rey Fenix, former AEW superstar. Well, not former because he's technically, contractually obligated. We're going to talk about Rey Fenix, talking about his unjust treatment happening in AEW. So, we can't wait to get into that. Obviously, hit up that tips and donations link. We can talk about, basically anything any questions you guys have to say about anything about that. So, obviously, I fell victim to the propaganda that was, reports over the summer, people saying that the Lucha Brothers were going to set foot in WWE and it was going to happen. You saw Penta Zero, Miedo, and his brother Rey Fenix, possibly join in WWE, but Phoenix's contract actually, it's not going to end. It's not going to end due to extended time because of injury. There was, basically, I don't know how to explain this. It's extra time. In soccer, whenever somebody gets hurt and they're on the ground and they're like, oh, okay. And then, when you get to that 90-minute mark and you're like, okay, that's the end of the game. It's like, oh, no, we have extra time for all those extra injury time and stuff like that. So that's exactly what's happening here. Rey Fenix, he signed a contract with AEW. He was injured during that time, and once when his contract went up, he was like, okay, me and my brother are going to sign with WWE. But Tony Khan was like, hey, dude, guess what? No, you were injured. You owe us, X, Y, and Z. You owe us all this time that you didn't necessarily get to fulfill because, your ass was injured. So at the same time, although it might seem like in terms of Tony Khan, it seems like it might be, as a business owner, you can be like, oh, okay, you know what, I can see that. But then, from Rey Fenix's perspective, he's like, you know what, contract is up, it's up. If it doesn't say in fine print in the contract that I don't necessarily have to perform any duties that I may or may not want to, participate in due to, injury obligations, due to, perhaps, maybe he was, injured half the time in terms of, usually people just like, you know what, we're just going to let you go. This is not going to happen. But in terms of AEW, that's the reason why the news is still a little kind of a little wonky in terms of wrestling fans. Is they're like, you know what? Not a lot of people kind of want to hold that stronghold within an injured superstar unless, like the Lucha Brothers got massive, absolutely massive public attention due to the fact that they were going to sign with WWE. So then now it seems like, Tony Khan wanted to stop the Lucha Brothers from, competing elsewhere, basically to kind of be a little petty here. There's been absolutely no intentions of using Rey Fenix on the AEW roster. Rey Fenix even tweeted, and I quote, "I will have my chance to speak the truth." He also said, "No one stays in a place where they received inhumane treatment." That's inhumane. He used the word inhumane. That's absolutely... That's crazy. That's crazy. And honestly, this is something that AEW Obviously, recently they did it with Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks is literally, he's within the same situation as Ray Fenix. How he's not necessarily being allowed to pursue outside wrestling endeavors, obviously, besides independent wrestling. Obviously, we're going to have there's a meet and greet with the House of Glory that's happening where you will see Ray Fenix, and then later on in a couple of months, you will see Ricky Starks. Dr. Chris Featherstone, he tweeted and he said, I received info from AEW source in November 20th regarding the Lucha Brothers status, but did not report it as I was waiting for one of them, which is the Lucha Brothers, to begin speaking their mind about the situation. So I think the doctor basically knew that, this seemed kind of wonky. This seemed kind of messed up. And with this new day and age of social media where anybody, everybody has a voice. Everybody has a voice. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. But then again, it could be a bad thing. But in this case, it's actually a good thing. Obviously, Ray Fenix wants to protect professional wrestlers. Ultimately, he wants to protect the culture. He wants to protect the integrity of what Lucha Libre ultimately represents. You got Penta right now wrestling in Lucha Libre AAA. So maybe he wants to kind of find himself in that kind of, category, perhaps. Tony Khan is partners with the CMLL. So, right now, Tony Khan, in terms of independent wrestling circuit, seems like they're kind of on their own. So the only logical reasoning, if you have Ray Fenix trashing AEW online and on social media platforms, the only place that it feels like he only really has to go is WWE. And if they sign with the WWE, NIL next in line, if they sell, with the ID program, independent wrestling circuit, this is something that Ray Fenix could definitely do really, really good. Also, his brother, this is something that could definitely be, this could be something that's pretty badass. They said, who's this? The Dr. Chris Featherstone also added, he said, and I quote, the alleged excuse that Tony Khan found out about the Lucha Brothers and talks with WWE is quote unquote fake news, and the real reason will be revealed. So I don't know, it's kind of crazy, but with all this kind of lingering hate, you can expect this to look absolutely. It's going to look ugly. It's going to look really, really ugly once Ray Fenix is completely out of AEW. He's going to speak his mind. You could expect it to get absolutely ugly. Right now, Tony Khan needs to do absolutely everything in his power in terms of PR to kind of fix this. You need to fix this. If anybody, I'm not saying that the Lucha Brothers were absolutely drop your pen on the floor, badass. But they are special. They are special. They were great inside the ring. They're absolutely phenomenal athletes. And Triple H, if you pick these guys up, and if they're going to constantly bag on how bad really AEW is behind the scenes, this could be really, really bad for your deal with Warner Brothers Discovery, streaming simultaneously with TBS, TNT on Dynamite, on HBO Max. This is something that's not going to be taken lightly. Ray Fenix also tweeted, I needed a doctor and you ignored me for months. This could also proceed in legal actions. This is also, you can also sue him for a lot of money. This is something, you're going to have negative publicity. HBO could literally, Warner Brothers Discovery could literally pull out of the deal. They could pull out of the deal. They can be like, okay, you know what? I don't care. I don't care about the contracts that we signed. We have so much money to the point where we don't, we can sign checks to basically be like, we don't owe you jack squat. And, it's okay. But AEW will definitely take a huge dive. And it's not like you have any top AEW stars right now to kind of fix it. You don't have, you don't really have the EVPs anymore. You don't have Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. I honestly feel like, they hated the storyline with the whole EVP thing with Okada, with Jack Perry behind the scenes. They admitted that. They really didn't like it. Maybe they're starting to, be like, okay, we're going to go to Wrestle Dynasty and fight for the IWGP Tag Team Championships. Hey, guess what? If we win over here, we're going to compete over here and you guys have to figure something out. Sorry. And then you had, you had Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega also getting injured and, kind of stating that, hey, I might not be able to make it AEW. Bryan Danielson having neck surgery, saying that, hey, I might honestly never wrestle again. You had Cody Rhodes leave. You had CM Punk leave. Literally, who do you have? Are you literally going to put your company on the back of the patriarchy's leader, Christian Cage? Like, I love Christian Cage and he's cool and all. But, and right now you kind of have this whole thing with the Death Riders, with Claudio Castagnoli, Pac, Jon Moxley, and Wheeler Yuta, and Marino Shafir. It's just, it's a lot. It's kind of putting a lot on the AEW World Champion, Jon Moxley. Kind of reminds me of the pressure that Shawn Michaels had during the WWE/WCW Monday Night Wars. But in this case, I don't think AEW can recover from this, especially with all these legal obligations and stuff like that. This is obviously, this was the huge reason why CM Punk left WWE to begin with. And he left professional wrestling for about 10 solid years. But right now, Tony Khan needs to find a way to fix this. Damage control. That's what PR is all about, damage control. Fix it. Let's fix it so there's no further legal actions that could definitely decimate your wrestling promotion for years to come. You've done such a good job. You've been in existence for about, 5+ years. Don't let it go down the drain because some negative publicity. Try to find a way to fix it. I would let him out of his contract. Absolutely free of charge, because right now he's kind of just sitting, twiddling his thumbs because, allegedly Tony Khan doesn't want him to sign with anybody else, anywhere else in, WWE and stuff like that. So, no, you can expect it to kind of get ugly if Tony Khan doesn't handle the situation pretty damn well. So this, once again, Rey Fenix, super impressive. Does this, on Rey Fenix's side, does this create some red flags for maybe a potential WWE signing? Maybe some people might see him as a social media troll. Who knows? Maybe something was done in the contract. Maybe he had a promise behind, closed doors with Tony Khan that we have not yet received yet. We don't know. And then he takes to social media whenever he's complaining. Come on, we've seen that with sports before. Obviously, with Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals, you've seen him change. He unfollowed the Arizona Cardinals. He took down every picture of himself in a Cardinals uniform. How dare you? And then now, ever since then, he's been kind of playing like crap. He's not the same guy. Kevin Durant with the Phoenix Suns. He wanted, Steve Nash? I think it was Brooklyn Nets. He wanted Steve Nash fired. He even wanted the GM gone. They were like, yeah, dude, we're not going to do that, dude. You're just a player, getting to, his 30s and stuff like that. I'm not saying Kevin Durant isn't a great guy, but then you unfollow them on social media. You send tweets that's like, man, I'm fitting to get out of here, dog. You send tweets like that, and it's just dude, you don't want to build a team around people like that. You don't want to build a company around people like that. Because, sometimes they might have their own head up their own arses. You don't really know what to do. No matter how much money you give them, no matter how much leeway they get, it's not like they take it with oh, hey, cool, hey, thank you. You scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. For them, they'll get used to that treatment. They'll get used to that. They'll do anything if I do X, Y, and Z. If I go on social media, dog, I can get whatever I want. You don't want a superstar like that. And that's something that Triple H could positively, doesn't want to get involved in. Does this negatively seal Rey Fenix's future within professional wrestling, perhaps maybe even basically terminating any kind of chance you have signing with the WWE? This could be that. This could definitely be that way. With, obviously, kind of have to look on both sides of the coin here. Rey Fenix trashed AEW on social media and Tony Khan. And he's going to be sitting for a while. Will Triple H finally, will he see through the controversy? Are the Lucha Brothers worth that damn much to be like, you know what? All the BS, put it all to the side. We're going to sign these guys because they're absolutely gifted superstars. No one's taking that away from them. Nobody is taking that away from them. It's just the fact that, sometimes sports athletes, sometimes, you get it. You have your prima donnas kind of like Stephon Diggs, kind of like Kevin Durant. You have these prima donna superstars that, they feel like they can do whatever they want because they have all the talent in the world, because they can do this and that and the other, but they're still not winning championships. So, it's sports. It's sports. All right, guys, so thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We're live every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. We're here to talk about professional wrestling. So make sure you guys, like, subscribe, Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also follow us on Twitter/X, however you guys like to call it, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. And like I always say, if I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, we got football. The college football playoffs are about to kick off. Make sure you guys get all your know-how, all your, hidden facts that you might not know about your favorite team on the GSMC College Football Podcast with my boy Tommy. We got the NFL. The NFL is heating up as well. We got 4 more weeks. Damn, it's already 4 more weeks until the playoffs of the NFL. We got the GSMC Football Podcast with Kenneth, probably the best football commentator, and next to him is probably the, one of the most resilient, one of the most charismatic football analyst that I've that sounds interesting. One of the best football analysts. We got Manny with the Chip Shot Football Podcast, and in terms of talking, it's almost football season's almost over. You got your fantasy football teams. If you want to make your fantasy football team a WWE champion, tune in to Chris Shepard's GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast to find out your stardoms, find out your situms, find out who to pick off the waiver wire. Find out who is going to help you win your championship. Also, we have Nelson with the GSMC Sports Podcast. We got Sports by GSMC with my boy Jeremy Lapidus. So make sure you tune into all these amazing podcasts. We got my boy Amron about to pop off right now with the GSMC Dead Ball Podcast. One of my favorite podcasts from this network. This guy has all the know-how. This guy is very, he has all the hot takes. He's brings a lot of flavor, brings a lot of sizzle to that steak. So make sure you don't miss that. Make sure you don't miss that show. Well, guys, thank you so much. Guys, hope you guys had an amazing, beautiful, blessed weekend. Stay beautiful, but most importantly, love you.